Okay, what I'd like to do is to create this fluted column. I'm going to create just the part that's fluted. So I've started out with some research. I have a scaled sketch. I've scaled the sketch up to full size, and if you look at the size between the area that I'm going to be designing, it's about 2 feet 7 and 7/8, about 2 feet 8 inches. So the first thing I did was I traced a copy with a polyline, but I want to just keep a certain part of it without. So I'm going to cut and trim the part at the bottom here, and I'm going to cut and trim the part from the top up, so that with these three shapes I should be able to trim now. So modify clip surface, and so now what remains is a piece that I can use as a sweep. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put it up in in another layer. So I'll just add another layer with a navigation palette, new layer. I'll accept the default and set this to active only, so I can paste this in place. That keeps it registered when I need it. I'm going to have to go back and get a couple more pieces of information before I continue. First of all, as part of the research, I need to know roughly how many of these flutes I've got, which I counted, and there are 12. And the flutes go around approximately 105 degrees, so they don't go completely around. So that's something I'm going to be doing when I make a calculation here. And the radius of the interior of this flute is approximately 1/2 inch. So I've done some information, some research already, and I also want to mark the beginning of the flute and the end of the flute. So I'll do that with a 3D locus point using the building model, and roughly here and roughly here. I want to select these locus points, two 3D locus points, and I'm going to copy them, or actually just transfer them to the other layer, the design layer 2. I'll just chase them up. So now I have the beginning and the bottom of the flute created. So I'm going to give this a fill, so that when I create a sweep of this, there will be no there will be the information will be solid instead of a shell. And then what I want to do is I want to establish the top and the bottom dimension here. So I'll use a dimension. First of all, I'm going to change the text size default so it's a little smaller, and go to the dimensions and notes, give myself a dimension between these two guys so I can determine the height, and it's going to be 2 feet 2 and 3/8 inch tall. So I'll make a note of that. That's the height of the flutes, and I had the start height and the beginning height. So I need to set a locus point to determine, and this would be a 2D locus point to determine the axis of the sweep. So I have two objects. This would be the locus and the polyline are both selected. I can choose model, sweep, and there's the height, 2 feet 7 and 7/8, and the arc angle, and the pitch is going to be 0. Click OK, and I'm in basic column. and what I want to do now is draw the flute, and so I'm going to draw a line from the top plan, representing half of it. And then I'm going to move to the front view and measure from the bottom of this, and what I want to do is snap it to this locus point. So I'm just going to snap a 2D point to the 3D locus, and what I'm looking for is a geometry here. There's 2D locus, which I don't need anymore, and I'm ready to look at it from the top view again, making sure that I'm in the center. And view is changing, so maybe what I just want to do is move this down so that it's aligned both front view and visually from the side, so that the start point is, say, now I've got my geometry set up, and I'm going to have to find a way to get this very, very explicit. But right now, to do an easy layout like this, but now I've went through the sweat of figuring out this layout, and now the process from here is fairly simple. And so I've got this line set, so I'm going to repeat that. Modify, model, sweep, and repeat that for 105 degrees of arc, and approximately 2 feet 1.5, so 2 feet 1.5 inches. So what I've got is the sweep as 105. The pitch is represents the height as it goes around a full 360-degree circle. So what I need to do is adjust the pitch height to be a factor or a proportion of this sweep. So I have to multiply as a factor. The sweep is approximately 3.4. 360 degrees is about 3.4 times the 105 that I want to end up with. So I have to multiply the 2 feet 1.5 times. So I'm just going to put into the pitch value here with an asterisk times 3.4, and now I've got it going up approximately the way I want it to go. And now what I need to do is move this up, the whole thing up, to balance in between the two locus points where I want the start and the finish. So I'm going to move this up about 1/2 inch. So I want to, in this view, I want to choose modify move, and I'll move it up 0.5. And now it's roughly in between the start and the finish here. So there's a 1/2 inch there, and there's approximately 1/2 inch, maybe a little less, maybe a little more there. So I've got this aligned. Now what I want to do is align the object to the outside here and to the top there. I need to get this aligned to the model. Got it from the top. I should be able to see this point, and what I think what I need to do is drag this center to the center here. That would probably be the easiest way. And that way. So now what I've got is the spiral shape coming right through, and I want to find the intersection of these two shapes. And so I'm going to one simple way is to make I'm going to make a copy of the column to get back to it, and I'm going to select both of these shapes and subtract the column from this so I can find the edge of where this goes. And so I'm going to choose modify or model subtract solids, and the part that I want to keep is the flute. Click OK, and this edge now is the edge that will be the defining edge of the flute. And so now I'm ready to define that with to pull that off, and I'm going to do that with the 3D modeling. I'm going to get the extract tool and change to the extract curve mode and select all the parts that that I need, and I'm going to click the checkbox so that I get a group, and I'm now done with this flute piece, so I can delete the flute piece, and here is the group of edges. I can ungroup that and use the compose command to create a single NURBS curve from that part. Now this should be the line of the flute as it rests on the column, and I'll choose paste in place to put the column back in place. And now what I want to do is draw a half-inch circle, half-inch radius circle. So I'll double click on the radius on the circle tool, type in 0.5 for the radius, and click on this point, any point really through there, and I want to select both these pieces, the NURBS curve and the circle, to make a extrude along path. The path object is selected with this interface. Click OK, and the path is now put on, drawn with the circle in place. I want to put two half semicircles on here. So I'm going to what I want to do is quickly jump to the 3D modeling and align this make the working plane align to this. So I'm going to click here, here, and 3 points to create a working plane, which then I can snap to. And so now I can use the hemisphere object, and see if I can, and I'll mirror that with the mode mirror in screen plane, or mirror across the working plane, which is what I want to do. I don't really need this part anymore, and I'm going to scroll out and put this back on, put a little ball on the bottom here the same way. So I'm going to use the set working plane tool, and the mode is the 3-point mode. Click once, click twice, click 3 times. That will align this to the end of the pipe, or the end of the flute. I'm going to use the hemisphere again and draw between these 2 points and snapping. These look okay. I want to do a solid addition with the extrude along path. So I'm going to choose model, add solids. I have a single solid addition now that I can subtract looking at it from the top. What I need to do is create 12 of these. The duplicate array. I've got the 11 duplicates, number of the angle is 30. Next mouse click, and I forgot this, rotate duplicates. I need to rotate around instead of rotating around instead of just not rotating and moving each object into place without rotating. I wanted to rotate the object, so I'm going to choose to retain all the other parameters were correct. I'm going to click on this, find the 3D locus point, and there is the way it goes now. So now I can look at this in 3D. And that's now quite satisfactory. And I'm going to select the final one, and additionally select the object, the column object. So I've got the flutes and the column object selected. Now I'm going to choose solid, subtract solids, and I want to highlight the it's very mesmerizing here to get those selected objects. I want to highlight the column, which it is. I'm going to click OK, and it's going to calculate that subtraction, and I should be able to render this. View, rendering, and OpenGL will be the easiest way to do this. And I should have this object very precisely drawn now, and it's a beautiful thing with these flutes, very much the way we intend them. There's one more refinement that I'd like to do, and I'd like the flutes to expand slightly as they travel down the column. So I'm going to just redo this. I'll select the solid subtraction and double click it to enter. I'll select these flutes except for one, which I'll save, and delete these. I'm going to make a refinement to this particular one. I'm going to double click to enter into this solid addition, and I'm going to select the extrude along path and give it a factor of 1.5, and that will make it get slightly bigger towards the bottom. And then I'll select the same hemisphere and make that a 3/4 inch hemisphere to cap that correctly. I'll exit the solid addition. This is one of the benefits of having a history-based 3D system. At least these are this particular instance. Now I'll choose edit and duplicate array, and I'll choose the 12 or the 11. I'll choose the 30 degrees between. I'll choose next mouse click, rotate duplicates, and retain the original. I think we're all set. Circular array, and I'm going to find the center, and there's the repeat the duplicate array around this corner, around the outside edge. We'll come back out of this, exit solid. We can actually go and show this from the front again. And we can do a render OpenGL. We can see the result. And now this sophisticated little addition here makes it look a lot better.